Welcome to Celeb Scene Central. One of comic book fans' favorite pastimes is debating which characters are stronger or more powerful than others, both in specific situations and generally speaking. This playful arguing has been incorporated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in which several characters have stated their opinions on which members of the Avengers are the most powerful. Two of the founding Avengers, Thor, Chris Hemsworth, and both Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo, and his alter ego, the Hulk, have even joined in, developing a comedic rivalry, much like the one their comic counterparts have, over which of them deserves the title Strongest Avenger. Thor, Ragnarok leaned on this dynamic particularly heavily as a source of humor after showing the second fight between the characters on the planet Sakaar. But for some, a less obvious choice is more deserving of the title. That's right, at least to a certain subset of fans, Clint Barton, Jeremy Renner, known as Hawkeye, is the strongest Avenger. While this is mostly a joking way to defend the character, a human archer with no superpowers, from criticisms that argue he is useless to the team, there is a decent amount of evidence suggesting that, at least in the MCU, Clint is essential to the group's success, although some of it is admittedly rooted mostly in coincidence. In the MCU, it's best to be on Hawkeye's team. Clint's defenders often refer to the link between his involvement, or lack thereof, in Avengers missions and the team's history of victories and defeats as evidence of his importance, and it's easy to see why. Throughout the MCU's history, the team Clint is on in a given conflict is usually the one that is ultimately victorious. As fans note, for most of the first Avengers film, Clint is under the mental control of Loki, Tom Hiddleston, helping him plan his invasion of Earth and fighting against Clint's own future Avengers teammates, a plot point that upset both a portion of the audience and Renner himself. For this same portion of the film, Loki has a lot more success than the heroes, with everything proceeding as he wants it to. He intentionally gets himself captured and brought to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the heroes' helicarrier base so Clint can lead their mercenary henchmen in an attack, which he does. Clint begins sabotaging the helicarrier and is almost successful as he causes it to crash before Tony Stark/Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., and Steve Rogers/Captain America, Chris Evans, repair one of the damaged engines. Only after Natasha Romanoff/the Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, frees Clint from Loki's control and he joins the team does the group coalesce and manage to defeat the God of Mischief. Clint serves on the team throughout the entirety of the sequel, Avengers, Age of Ultron, and perhaps consequently, while the group faces some major setbacks, they are ultimately successful in defeating the titular villain. Although Clint himself and several other members of the faction of Avengers he stands with when the team is divided in Captain America, Civil War are arrested, his group does succeed in their ultimate priority of getting a few members, namely Steve and Bucky Barnes/the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, to Siberia to combat terrorist Helmut Zemo, Daniel Bruhl. Most tellingly, Clint is one of the few members of the main Marvel ensemble that does not appear in Avengers, Infinity War, in which the heroes famously lose to Thanos, Josh Brolin, leading to his infamous snap. He returns to the group in Avengers, Endgame, and although it costs the lives of Tony and Natasha, they ultimately manage to defeat Thanos and reverse the damage he did to the universe. Hawkeye has taken down much more powerful opponents. More recently, Clint's defeat of Wanda Maximoff/the Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, from Age of Ultron has been cited as an additional point in his favor. Partially through that film, Wanda uses her telepathic powers against Steve, Thor, Natasha and Bruce, incapacitating the first three and sending the latter into a rampage as the Hulk. She quietly walks up behind Clint, planning to do the same to him, but he notices her and instantly attaches an arrow with an electrified tip to her forehead, stunning her, noting, "I've done the whole mind control thing." Not a fan. After Wanda was cemented as one of the most powerful characters in the MCU early in the multiverse saga, a popular meme was created reminding viewers that Clint is one of the few, or perhaps the only character so far, to unambiguously defeat her, something more obviously powerful figures such as Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, Professor X, Sir Patrick Stewart, Black Bolt, Anson Mount, and even Thanos himself failed to do. Hawkeye is key to holding the Avengers together. While some of these descriptions exaggerate the extent to which Clint is crucial to the team for comedic effect, there is also some evidence within the franchise's narrative that shows he is pretty important to the team's dynamic. In a self-aware scene in Age of Ultron, Clint talks to his wife, Laura, Linda Cardellini, about his place on the team. He doubts that people as powerful as his teammates need him, but Laura says, "I think they do." Which is a lot scarier. "They're a mess." Clint replies, "Yeah, well I guess they're my mess," suggesting that he believes part of his responsibility is keeping the team together and helping the others with their personal problems. He makes a joking reference to this while freeing Wanda from captivity in Tony's compound in Civil War. Referring to the ongoing feud between the two halves of the team and a brief period in which he had stopped working as a superhero, he says, "I retire for like 5 minutes, and it all goes to shit." Its possible future projects could build a more extensive story arc out of this idea. Perhaps when a new version of the team forms, likely in one or both of the upcoming Avenger sequels, Clint will take on more of a leadership role, given that he resolved many of his personal issues left over from Endgame in his Disney Plus series and knows how important his influence was to the original Avengers.